Chapter 7. Priorities. Heavy breathing followed Kai as his training came back to him. Throwing the longbow and arrow knapsack over his shoulder, he thought it best to conserve his energy and continue walking at a moderate pace. Every choice now meant life or death. The enchanting beauty of the forest was hiding underneath its deceptively attractive branch-filled sky, mass graves of innumerable warriors spanning back 300 years who had never returned from their path. A memory flashed through Kai's mind. He and Halfdan went hunting 3 years ago in the winter with Bo, Brunhild, and Alf, villagers their age. Halfdan spotted the snow prints before anyone else, and after the group cautiously and carefully trekked the wild beast's movements, they discovered her grazing in an open plain field just outside the forest. Slowly, Bo, Brynhild, and Alf circled around the forest to the opposite side of the field, creeping up 100 yards behind the animal in a triangle formation. Kai and Halfdan readied their bows. Kai, next to Halfdan, gave the signal, and the boys, screaming like madmen, ran the beast back towards their forest location. Kai immediately began letting his bowstring loose, followed by Halfdan, who, to Kai's raging envy, landed a direct shot in the elk's side, causing her to spew and drench blood at a full-paced run. It took them hours to trek her down, but when they found her nestling up against a massive pine while attempting with much pain and failure to get up, Kai was quick to drive his spear through her head, puncturing any flesh that kept her alive. Kai was now walking swiftly through the cold winter walls of the wind that blew in his direction with a sense of fury pumping in his blood. He knew he had to somehow repeat the same feat, only this time by himself. He also knew how crucial it was for him to strategize his resources, like an army giving out rations when held hostage behind a city wall by hostile enemies. Shelter was his first priority, and hunting at night was impossible. Not only was his vision obscured, but elk only came out during the day, and if a snowstorm did awaken, Shelter would at least keep his limbs warm enough for blood to continue pumping through them. "Shelter first," he proclaimed aloud. Pulling out the sign hatchet he always kept with him, he immediately began hacking away at large, low-hanging branches nearby. Then, after scouting for a fallen tree, he found himself in a glade similar to the known unknown. Here he discovered one laying horizontally, with a thick enough trunk to stack his branches on top. Bringing the branches back to the location of the fallen tree, he created a lean-to shelter and covered it with pine bough. "The time to hunt is now, before it gets dark or snows," he concluded with a kind of urgency that never before in his life had been as strong as it was now. As the sun began to set in its midday position, Kai set out to stalk his prey. Creeping quietly in the thick woods, he began looking for trace steps. An hour passed. Nothing. 2 hours. Nothing. His stomach was already beginning to churn, whether from a lack of food or from the kicking in of his now overstimulated survival instincts, he could not say. Suddenly, his eye caught a glimpse of some faint, yet undeniably pronounced holes in the soil. Hoofprints. Following the trace evidence, he came to a stream that cut its way across a small path inside a sparse area of trees that were thinly scattered. As he looked out, he noticed some odd-looking bushes that appeared to have been foraged through. Moving in closer, he saw tampered branches that lay broken, and his attention was then fully taken by the sight of something that made his heart leap with euphoric anticipation. Hair.